Hello, Sagittarius, and welcome to this, your remaining days in June reading. Now, as many of you know, normally I would have done 2 readings for you during the month of June, but some life circumstances have changed in my own life, so I am now bringing you the rest of June reading. Let's dive right in. We are getting called over here to this deck. First cards we're going to pull for you, Sagittarius, are going to be cards of where you are at now. What's going on for you here at the beginning of June. Also, if you are interested in any of the decks that I use in the readings today, there are affiliate links in the description. So go ahead and check those out. Also, let me just put these in the order in which they came out. Also, for those of you who don't know, I am not only a psychic and a tarot reader, I am also a certified counselor and a certified hypnotherapist. So if any of this resonates with you and you'd like to dive more deeply into your own personal situation, seeing as this is just a general reading for all of the Sagittariuses out there. Sorry, I'm tripping over my words. I'll leave my contact details down below for you. All right. First card in your reading today is the Seven of Swords. Seven of Swords is a card of deception and deceit. There is no nice way to put it about this card. This is a card indicating that someone is in your midst who is not being particularly kind or honest. Next card that you have is the Seven of Wands. Seven of Wands is a card of feeling like you're being challenged, and yet you're holding your ground, maintaining your zen. And the next card that you have is the Seven of Pentacles. Seven of Pentacles is about planting seeds for the future and tending to them. Interesting. Sagittarius, I have never seen this happen before. These cards jumped out of the deck. I do not work with pulled cards. I work with jumped cards, cards that jump out of the deck as I'm shuffling through them. You have a 7. You have another 7. You have another 7. You have 3 sevens. And there's only 3 cards that have been pulled for your reading. What is that telling me? Well, it's telling me a couple of things. 7 is obviously going to be very important to you. Pay attention to the 7th, the 17th, and the 27th of the month of June. They are going to be important. Pay attention to 7 p.m. and 7 a.m. in your life. Something important is going to happen to you, and a 7 is going to be involved. 7 is also an extreme lucky number in certain philosophies and certain belief systems. 3 sevens coming out. That's extremely good fortune for you. Even think about in our own North American culture. Like, it's not just foreign cultures that see sevens as lucky. In our own North American culture, if you've ever gone and played the slots in Vegas or somewhere else where gambling is legal, you'll know that 777 is extremely lucky. So, Sagittarius, good omens here, despite the fact that your very first card came up as a card of deceit and deception. Your next card, like I said, is about you being challenged on a matter while maintaining your zen and moving into the 7 of Pentacles. So let's concentrate on the positive here, because the first cards that I've pulled for you are cards for where you're at now. And in the order they came out in was the deception and deceit, as well as being challenged, which means that you have experienced that. And you are now at the point where you are moving beyond that. You're moving into something new and something else. What are you moving into? You're moving into planting seeds, tending them, babying those seeds, and looking towards the future. You've moved away from someone, most likely, who wasn't good for you. They weren't healthy for you. They weren't treating you like the god or goddess that you are. They weren't treating you with respect. They were treating you with contempt, is the word that came to mind. So now you've planted some seeds. Let's take a look at what you're focusing on and see what those seeds actually are. What is Sagittarius focusing on? I'm going to have to go through this deck, I think, a second time. So there's a card there. Looked like it wanted to come out and then it didn't. No. All right. Well, we've got 3 cards. Let's see what happens when I drop the deck. Yep. See how there's one card sticking up? And if I flick the deck, it comes out. That's the card I was looking for. Okay. Let's take a look at your cards. All right. The very first card you have and what you are focusing on, we are going to get rid of this card. We are going to stop thinking about this card. This is the catastrophism card. This is the 9 of Swords. This is a card of thinking of the worst case scenario. And we know that our thoughts become our reality, Sagittarius. So if you were thinking about the worst case scenario, you may very well be manifesting something that's not going to go the way that you want it to go. So if you are being awakened in the middle of the night with thoughts of would've, could've, should've, if you're being awakened in the middle of the night with thoughts of a worst case scenario, do everything in your power, everything in your midnight tool chest to turn those thoughts towards something more positive. One of the things that you can do, trust me, I'm speaking from experience. I probably have a master's degree in this card. When I was younger in particular, and before I learned some coping techniques, I often laid awake in bed for hours. Worst case scenario, oh my gosh, I should have said that. I should have said that. I I I shoulded all over myself all night long with, oh my gosh, would have, could have, should have, and beat myself up. So there are techniques that you can use to get out of that, including listening to a specific YouTube video that you find that helps you to fall back to sleep and bring your thoughts around to more positivity. There are breathing techniques that you can use. There is self-hypnosis that you can use. Listening to music, listening to white noise or pink noise or gray noise helps people get out of the jumble that comes up in their head in the middle of the night. So I encourage you, if you have not already done so, Sagittarius, to look into methods and techniques to clear your mind or to set positive intentions for yourself in the middle of the night. The next couple of cards that you have 2 queens that have come out. You have the Queen of Swords and the Queen of Cups, which means that you have a lot of feminine energy around you at this time. Feminine energy, we're not referring to male or female biologically, we're referring to the energies. Masculine energy is a more straightforward intellectual type energy. The feminine energy is a gentler, more compassionate, empathic, and emotional energy. So, with 2 queens coming up and what you're focusing on, the Queen of Swords on this side here is the queen who is the intellectual queen. And the Queen of Cups over here is the emotional queen. Having these 2 queens come up for you and what you are focusing on is an indication that you're working on finding a balance between what you're thinking about and what you're feeling. And you're working towards not allowing one or the other to take over in your life. You recognize that decisions need to be made from a place that is balanced, from where you think about what it is you want, but you also tap into your heart center and say, how do I feel about this situation that I need to make a decision about? The Queen of Cups is sometimes a queen who indicates that there's a new idea that you have that you're working towards getting out into the world. The Queen of Cups is sometimes referred to as like a minor arcana empress. So that's just something to keep in mind, that you may be looking towards putting something out into the world, but you're looking to put it out into the world in a very balanced way, both from a place of intellect as well as something that you're emotionally um, charged by. And next, you also have the Judgment card in your focus. What are you focusing on? So you're focusing on giving up catastrophism in the middle of the night and worry. You're focused on bringing some more balance into your life with regards to your emotions and your thoughts. And you're focusing on judgment. Now, this is not about sitting in judgment of others, Sagittarius. This is about sitting in judgment of self. And in the tarot, the judgment card is number 20. There are 22 cards in the major arcana, number 21, the world, being only one more card after this one because we start at 0. And the judgment card is often an indication that you're leveling up, that you are stepping out of a soul lesson and stepping into something new, a new lesson, a new experience, a new adventure. And that is confirmed by having these 3 7s here in the order in which they came out, having you learn about a deception or a deceit and walking away from a situation that was no longer serving you, being challenged about walking away and the decision that you made, and yet holding your Zen and holding your boundaries and moving into a place where you're planting seeds for your future. This is what you're focusing on. And by sitting in judgment of self for a brief period of time, Sagittarius, you're going to allow yourself to gain more clarity about how to tend the seeds that you've planted moving into the future. Let's see what is coming up for your difficult influences and challenges. Difficult influences and challenges for Sagittarius for June. Difficult influences and challenges. Anything else? You'll notice there's a card there. Not sure if it's going to come all the way out. Yep, there it goes. And a few more. And another one. Uh-oh. All right, Sagittarius, if you actually have this much going on in your difficult influences, I don't want to look at the cards because I don't want to influence what's going to come out. But if you have this much going on, we have issues. Let's talk. So what we're going to do is, instead of going into this many difficult influences and challenges, we're going to just shuffle up this portion of the deck until we get 2, maybe 3 cards to clarify the difficult influences for Sagittarius for June. All right, there we go. 3 cards. That's what we said. 2 or 3 cards. All right. So we have the 10 of Spring coming out. The 10 of Spring corresponds to the 10 of Wands. 10 of Wands is a card of feeling like you're carrying a burden. But most of the time, when we feel like we're carrying a burden, we feel like we're carrying someone else's burden, not necessarily our own, although it may be our own burden. And so, one of the best ways to get out of a situation like this, where we're feeling like Cinderella and we have way too much on our plate and we're carrying around all of these burdens, not just our own burdens, but other people's burdens as well, is to ask for help. Think about it. Look at the picture on this particular card. It looks like Cinderella. How did Cinderella manage to make it to the ball so that she could meet her Prince Charming? She asked for help. She asked for help and support from her friends. Okay, granted, her friends weren't human, but nonetheless, she asked for help. That's the lesson in that story, or that part of the story. And so that's the lesson behind this card. But Sagittarius, this card came up in your difficult influences and challenges. That's telling me that right now, because of this deception and deceit, and because you felt like you were challenged in your decision or your choices, you feel like you can't ask for help. You feel like you're not being supported in the world right now, but you are. Just trust me, trust and believe that you are always being supported. You have the King of Autumn in your difficult influences. King of Autumn, of course, is the King of Pentacles. He is the richest king in the deck. He is also extremely assertive. This card is indicating that you may be being a little bit wishy-washy in some of your choices and decisions right now. And that's probably why in your focus you had the two queens here as well as the judgment card, because you're working on boundaries right now. Yeah. Yeah, I'm going to share this as well because it's coming up. So it's only fair that I share it. All right. 10 of Spring is feeling like you're burdened, feeling like you're unsupported. King of Pentacles is, again, feeling like you're a little bit wishy washy because it's in your difficult influences. But the fact that you have a king coming in your difficult influences and you have two queens over here is also an indication that relationships, particularly relationships between your divine feminine and your divine masculine, may be feeling a little bit unbalanced because you've got two divine feminines in your focus, and then in your difficult influences you have one divine masculine. And so it's feeling like um in a relationship that involves both a male and a female right now, it may feel like the dynamics aren't quite balanced. And that's one of the things that you're working on over here. You're working on gaining that focus, and gaining that balance. The last card that you have in your difficult influences is the Awakening card. This card corresponds to the Hanged Man from the Major Arcana of the Tarot. This is about being able to see things from a different perspective. As I already said, you may feel like you're not being supported right now, but you are. And by changing your perspective, by seeing things a different way, you may be able to feel more supported in what's going on for you right now. Um, you know, going back to this Seven of Wands that you had here, that where it felt like you're being challenged, it may be that some of the people were challenging your choice or your decision they were coming from a place of love and compassion without realizing that it was actually upsetting and offending you. So if you can see the different perspectives where someone is approaching you from, meet them where they are. I don't know exactly what that saying is. Um, but there is a saying out there, Sagittarius, about when we're dealing with people, we have to meet them where they are in their emotional development, in their cognitive development. We have to meet them where they are. And so sometimes people love and care for us so much. I've got a download coming in here that's going to give a very good example of this. Okay. I'm going to talk about my own life here for just a quick moment. This is going to bring clarity to what I'm trying to say here. I am happily single. I enjoy being single. Will that change in the future? Maybe. But for right now, this is the life that I have chosen. It's my choice, my decision. Does the Seven of Wands come in and play in my life regularly? Absolutely. My choice, my decision to be single is challenged all of the time by my parents who have been happily married for more than 60 years. And where they are in their minds, in their intellect, in their emotional state, they cannot comprehend or understand someone actually wanting to be single because they got together as a couple when they were in their early 20s and they have known no other life other than to be the other half of a couple. Neither one of them knows how to be a single adult. And so they challenge me on a regular basis about my choice and my decision. Now, I used to get upset. I used to get offended. I used to feel like I had this burden that I needed to carry around, right? This 10 of spring. I used to feel like I had to carry around this big burden of guilt because I was disappointing them because I was living my truth. But when I recognized and was able to see the other perspective and understand that my parents are incapable of comprehending on any level wanting to be single as an adult, all of a sudden, it wasn't a problem anymore. And it was no longer my burden to bear. That's their perspective, right? My perspective is I've made a choice and decision and I like where I am. And so the reason that I brought that up, Sagittarius, is because I'm getting the sense that that's kind of what you're going through right now, where there's external influences who are challenging your decisions and perhaps even sitting in judgment of you. Well, you're more than capable of sitting in judgment of yourself, clearly. I mean, you've got the Nine of Swords here, so clearly you are sitting in judgment of yourself. But this card is about sitting in judgment of self in a positive way. And it is not about other people judging you. But I get the sense that that's what's happening for you right now. You're being judged by people that don't understand the choices and decisions that you've made because your choices and your decisions, Sagittarius, were based on what? Your experience, your life, not theirs. So live in your truth, right? Live in your truth, live in your authenticity, Sagittarius. Messages from the universe. All right, so we just have one card that's come out for messages from the universe. Make each day count. Yeah, absolutely. I don't know what else I can say about that card. Make positive change for yourself every day. Let's go into what is unexpected. Where are we going for unexpected? There we go. Unexpected. And that one's on the floor. What else is unexpected for Sagittarius? Unexpected for June. And that one's on the floor too. All right, you have a lot of unexpected coming up here, Sagittarius. Let's get those cards off the floor. I'm trying to keep them in the order in which they came up. So, the first card that came up in your unexpected is the Devil. Do you know who the devil is in your life? The devil is the ego. The devil is you saying, oh, even though my decision may have been wrong, now I need to stick with my decision because, well, pride. The other thing that the devil asks us to do is explore and examine our relationship, sit in judgment of our relationship to the material world. Yeah. The next card that you have in your unexpected is the Emperor. The Emperor brings with him masculinity, and in fact, he has similar energy to the King that appeared earlier. He is clear, he is decisive, he is, what's the word I'm looking for? He is assertive, and he makes decisions from a very intellectual place, not necessarily from an emotional place. So, this may be bringing in some balance to the feminine energy that you had in what you were focusing on. But yeah, this is about being assertive. And going back up to the beginning of your reading where the Seven of Swords, Seven of Wands came in, you feeling judged, the Ten of Spring. This Emperor coming in for you, Sagittarius, is about you having set some boundaries and you holding your boundaries. You have the Two of Swords. Sorry, let's see if we can get that into focus. There we go. Two of Swords. Okay. The Two of Swords is about needing to make a decision on blind faith. You have no idea what the outcome is going to be. Not a clue. You can't even project what the outcome is going to be, but you need to make a decision and you need to make it fairly soon. This is in your unexpected. When we see cards in unexpected, it's usually because there's a little bit of urgency there with regards to making a decision, which brings me to your next card, which also happens to be about making decisions. This is the Chariot. And the Chariot as well is about making decisions. You'll notice down at the bottom, you have two sphinxes at the bottom. The reason that the sphinxes are depicted as one that is here, I'm just going to turn my light off for just a moment here. All right. The reason that we have the sphinxes depicted as one of them being black and one of them being white, and yet there is white represented over on the black one, and there is white represented or black represented over on the white one. I'm getting all mixed up here. The reason that we have this on the Chariot is because it's representing to us that when we make decisions, there's always going to be some bleed through or some overlap. Decisions still need to be made, but the vast majority of decisions that we make are not black and white. They are not yes, no, definitive, I learned nothing from the situation type things. When we make decisions and choices, we always learn something from them. So, in your unexpected, you're going to explore your relationship with the material world and with your ego. You're going to set some really, really firm boundaries for yourself. You're going to make some decisions for your firm boundaries. Now, the Chariot goes one step beyond making decisions because the Chariot isn't just about making decisions, it's about making decisions and then whipping those horses into a frenzy and taking off on your Chariot, taking action, moving ahead, moving forward. And the final card in your unexpected is the Temperance card. The Temperance card is a card of patience and balance. The Temperance card is a card of saying things happen in their own season when the timing is right and when things are in balance. So sometimes we may be anxiously trying to push something forward, but the timing isn't quite right. Or we may have something that's really out of balance, like the two queens over here and then the one king, but then the emperor came in and now there's more balance. I really sense for you, Sagittarius, that this reading may seem like it's all over the place. But what it's all about is that you experience some deception or deceit, and then you have decided to make a pretty big drastic change in your life. I'm just reviewing here. You've made a pretty big decision in your life. Some people in your life were not particularly happy with your decision, and it made you feel like you were all alone and that you were carrying everybody else's burdens. But when you had the opportunity to be able to see it from their perspective, that they were coming from their life experience, not your life experience, then you recognize that you are still supported. And that moves you into being able to explore your relationship to the material world, taking a look at your own ego as you're moving forward through this experience, as you are regrowing your life. Because that's the sense I get, is that you've had a pretty traumatic change and you're regrowing, rebuilding your life. And as you're rebuilding, you have some pretty important decisions to make. And even though you may feel like you've made those decisions, the outcome is not clear to you just yet. There still has to be some patience and temperance and balance. Let's dive into your final overall outcome. Final overall outcome for Sagittarius. Okay. There's a card sticking up. We're going to grab that one out as well. All right. Another card indicating that a decision needs to be made. What else do we have here? Yes. All right. Interesting. We've got a couple of fours here as well. So with the fours coming in like this, you're going to want to pay attention to the number 4 coming up in the month of June. So let me just see the order in which these came out. The very last card was that card there. Okay. The very first card that came out for you, Sagittarius, is the No Thingness card. This card corresponds to the Hierophant. This card is about exploring our beliefs, where our beliefs came from, and if the beliefs that we had at one time in our life still resonate for us, and whether we are going to throw some old beliefs out the window. I get the sense that you are absolutely on the verge of throwing some old belief systems out the window. That may not resonate well and bring up some stress. This card is the 7 of Wands. This card corresponds exactly to this card. They have the identical meaning. You are being challenged. You feel like you're not being supported. Your friends feel, you know, um, it feels like your position on changing your belief systems is being challenged again as we close out the month of June. This can make you feel like you're being a little bit miserly in your life. Is that a bad thing? No. This card, this card also this card also has a bit of the devil in it. Um, this card that came up in your in your unexpected, the devil, this card, remember, the devil was about exploring your relationship to material goods. Yeah, this card has a similar energy or meaning behind it as well. So, as you are changing your belief systems and being challenged by friends and family, you are also exploring deeply your relationship to the material world and your relationship to material goods and gains. How best can you do that, Sagittarius? Turning in. Turning in, tuning in, shutting out all of this chatter that's going on around here. This is the card that I like to call the Quiet Hermit or the Little Hermit. It has very similar energy to the Hermit in the Major Arcana, but this card is a little bit quieter. It's not about doing a full on withdrawal, but it is about tapping in deeply to who we are. So you're going to find the answers that you're seeking in your own withdraw meditations, quiet time. And finally, the last card that you have here is the Two of Wands. This is about possibilities. Possibilities. And that's how we're going to leave off your reading, is that even through all of this that you are going through, your possibilities and opportunities are endless. All right. Thank you so much for being here. Please like and subscribe.